Okay, we're live. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 135 that we're going to dub holiday projects, things that you can do next week while you're all off and sick of your family before the new year. Basically, an audit of your permissions and things that you should clear up in the last year. Just giving you something to do if you're not busy enough. And I brought Tom along to tell me why I'm right or wrong and to go from there.
Howdy, everyone.
So you want to start with, I think we should start with the Signal thing first.
Yes, so this is pretty great news. Signal has just pushed out an update, and it should be live here in the next couple hours, if I'm reading this correctly.
I already got it.
Yeah, they literally just pushed an update. Like, I was reading about it right before we started the show. So some stuff happened this week where Egypt has started blocking Signal. They started blocking access to the Open Whisper system servers because they decided, hey, if we can't snoop on it, we're just going to block it outright. And then there were some reports that users in the United Arab Emirates were actually being blocked from using Signal. So that's annoying. Signal is designed specifically to evade censorship and to evade, being spied on. So the Signal decided to take off the kid gloves today. They decided, all right, fine. I'll tell you what. You can go ahead and block our servers directly, but we're going to use a technique called domain fronting. And I'll explain what that is here in a second. But basically, it means that unless a country wants to do China-style deep packet inspection, where everything that comes into the country has to install a certificate to be able to access anything, and everything is man in the middle, and they inspect every single little packet going into and out of their country to make sure that it's complying with the law. They can either do that, or they can block the entirety of Google.com. All of Google services, just shut them off, wipe them off the internet. And Google's not the only one. Signal could install, a domain front shim in, Amazon's S3 or AWS or Rackspace or, any number of these cloud hosting services. Anyone that'll have a Signal server hosted behind their premises, just for the sake of bouncing stuff around. And if a country really wanted to block Signal at that point, they can either do the deep packet inspection route, which is really expensive, makes things really slow. It just tears apart the internet. It's really bad. Or they can just shut off the whole internet. So Signal is not playing around anymore. They decided that things will not be blocked. The update has gone live, and 3 hours ago, as of the time of this recording, it's not live yet. It will probably be pushed in the next Signal update, which I'm hoping will be out shortly, but we don't have a time frame. Moxie, Marlin, Spike also added Cuba and Oman to the domain fronting list. There's a nice little list called censored countries in the Signal source code, which you can read on GitHub. It's open source. And there are little phone number country codes. So if you have a phone number in one of these countries, you will be routed, or you'll be shimmed off to the domain front. So no more blocking Signal. And I'm sure this will start an escalating war between the crypto nerds and the powers that be. And I really look forward to it because crypto nerds always win.
Again, you can't block the math, and
you can't stop the Signal, Matt. You can't stop the Signal.
And again, we tell people it's not as pretty as other apps, but if you're on Android, this is not a hard process. I mean, you've installed Candy Crush, which requires a lot more spelling than Signal. Just download Signal, make it your default app, and go from there. And there are some SMS quirks, but I mean, you get over them. Just tell your friends if you're having problems. Hey, just download Signal.
Oh, and Open Whisper Systems added some fun stuff. I just went straight to the security coolness. They added, adding doodles, stickers, and text to images. So if you wanted to draw all over something or add stickers to an image when you send it to your friends, you can do that now. Not the world's most important feature, but it's playing catch up with a bunch of other messengers, and why not?
I mean, right? I could care less about stickers and all this, but everyone else does. I mean, I feel like I'm the old man in the room. But if it doesn't have stickers, we can't deal with it.
So that's great. Now, I do want to talk just a little bit about domain fronting. This is so cool. So what Open Whisper Systems has done is they basically stood up a small reflector server on Google's AppSpot, their App Engine platform, which is, and it's really easy to publish one of these apps. You just write the code, you say, hey, this goes to Google, this goes over to Amazon, this goes to Rackspace, and so on and so on. And what it does is it sits on their domain, and any traffic that comes in, it just redirects all of that. It's not really a proxy. It's sort of, the traffic looks like it's going straight to Google, but it's not. It gets changed after the HTTPS encryption happens. And I hope I'm getting this right. I read very quickly about it. But it looks like it's going to Google. Then the HTTPS tunnel happens, and then it changes everything internally to point you over to the Open Whisper System servers. So if they try to block it, they have to block Google. They have to say, everything on AppSpot, everything hosted through App Engine is now blocked, or at least this thing is blocked. And at that point, Signal can just list a bunch of domains and say, hey, everything in this list is now a reflector on AppSpot. Pick one. And then they can, play whack-a-mole with that list all day long. So it's really cool.
I mean, at this point, with all the other apps out there for messaging, you should have something that's that Signal has touched, whether it be Facebook Messenger, which I got to say, if you do Facebook Messenger right, it is pretty spiffy. Google Allo, which apparently has crossed 10 million downloads for some strange reason. WhatsApp, which is what we use and what we like to get a group going. And Signal for day-to-day. I mean, it's one of those things that's working. And we heard another one the other day, Wire, Vine, not Vine.
Wire.
Wire, but I don't think that uses Signal.
Yeah, there was I think it's using like their own implementation of the Signal protocol. They didn't work directly with Open Whisper Systems. I don't know how to feel about Signal right now. Apparently there was some bad blood early on between the Wire people and the Open Whisper Systems people. So, usually if you get on Moxie's bad side, that doesn't really sit well with me because I think he's a rad dude, but that's probably just my fanboy coming out. The app might be perfectly fine. I'm personally not going to use it, but that's not a condemnation or anything like that.
I mean, again, it's there's enough encrypted messenger systems. Pick one, but we're telling you, so far the default one is Signal. There's no reason to go anywhere else. It does text messaging, it does group, and like we said, if you have Android, just install it. It looks a little different. You'll get used to it. There won't be any Verizon ads inside your messaging feed. So, I mean, there's a plus. Yeah, and nice. As people download it, you'll get that notification, which is a little weird, that says, hey, your friend is on Signal, and you'll have one more person that you can be securely secure to.
Every week I get, one or more people, popping up in that notification. Such and such has joined Signal. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. I never talked to that person, but it's cool that they have it.
I mean, I look at it this way. Somebody read something on the internet that they should try. And if they do it, I want to communicate with them more because now they see the value of it and they can go from there. So, sorry. So we can go from there. I mean, that was the big news of the week. I mean, we still have more from the Yahoo fallout, but I mean, Verizon wants to now kill the deal, but either way, if you're on Yahoo, either change your password, start migrating somewhere else, try to find another email host. Google is fine. Google hasn't lost anything recently. I mean, so I guess the next thing we want to talk to is you're off next week, or I'm off next week. Tom, are you sort of off next week?
I am. Unless something explodes at work, I will be, chilling, drinking some good coffee, listening to some Christmas music, and generally enjoying doing absolutely nothing.
I mean, I figure I don't want to be presumptuous and say that everyone's off next week, but most of America is off next week, and you're going to need to do something. And our recommendations is audit your 2016. For me, I don't know how great 2016 was for most of us, but
terrible, awful.
Yes, maybe now this is a good time. You know what? Let's go back through it and get rid of it.
Yes. Delete all of 2016. Just go back to your history, your search history, your IMs, everything that keeps history, and erase 2016 from the timeline. You know, if we all do this together, 2016 won't have actually existed. Like future archaeologists will look back and they'll go, huh, that's weird. They went from 2015 directly to 2017 and nothing happened during this time. The strangest thing. It's very odd.
Except for my son was born in 2016, so there'll always be a record of that. But
you're going to have to change that date. You're going to have to find a time machine and figure out a way to get that changed.
Go forward a couple months. So he's born in January.
Yes.
So, I mean, so the idea is, how do you get rid of things online? And I mean, we'll talk about the big ones, how to get stuff off Facebook, how to delete tweets, how to do things. But you may want, the idea this week is to go through and try and look at your stuff and what should you do to completely eradicate 2016. And I think the first thing to do is go to your permissions on Facebook and go to your permissions on Twitter, and they're there, and see what apps you have connected to it and say, do I really use this app? If not, just delete it. It removes your stuff from there. It protects you from hacks. It protects you from other things, and you'll feel better about yourself.
And it's really easy. So the website again is mypermissions.org. And it's great. They've got these big buttons. Here's one for Facebook, Twitter, Google, Yahoo. It goes down the list. Then you click it, and it doesn't actually do anything. It doesn't like log you into these services or hijack anything. They're just links. They literally take you to the settings for these various websites where, you can, I click on Twitter and I go right to my application settings, which, that's the thing where if you hit login with Twitter, you've now got that banner right there. So, here's something. I never use this. This is a test application I made to test logging in with Twitter. I'm going to go ahead and click revoke access, and it's done. I mean, that's it. It's that easy.
Like, remember app.net?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Apparently, I allow Facebook to access app.net allowed to access that. So I want to remove it. It just makes you feel good. I mean, it removes your credentials from there, and you know what? It keeps you that much safer, just in case app.net has a privacy breach or anything like that.
Yeah,
wow, I have a lot.
This is so easy. And of course, every time I go to like an OAuth allow list, I'm terrified. I cannot believe I allowed this much to build up over time. But it's so easy just to click the login with X button, especially when, this stuff doesn't, have access to anything except, hey, we want your name and your email address. Some apps are like, hey, we want your name, your email address, and literally everything about you. And on those, I just click cancel. Google does a cool thing, and I don't know if Facebook does it. I haven't been on Facebook in forever. But if a app says, hey, I want access to your friends of friends, and all of these circles, I want your whole social network, you can actually tone that back. You can say, no, you get access to this portion of my life. And I have a Google Plus circle with 0 members in it that I give those apps access to, which I feel like it's just twisting the knife just a little bit when I sign up.
Like, here's Yahoo. Should I give permissions to Yahoo? Nope. Let's remove that. Again, so go through there, see what you don't need. Go websites, because the good thing about OAuth, all that information, if you need to go back there, will just come back. It's not like it's going too far away. So
like with that stuff I just removed from my Twitter, if I click the sign in with Twitter button again, it'll go, huh, that's weird. We don't have an OAuth token for that. I guess, can we log in again? It'll ask you for permissions again. So you're not actually deleting anything if they can't get a token. And then they'll say, oh yeah, you were that guy that logged in with this username under Twitter. We already have an account for you, and it's linked up again. So fear not, you're not going to permanently break anything.
So there, I would go on Facebook and Twitter and the big ones. The problem is with this My Permissions site, it's that it is a little old. So they don't have the newest ones. Like, they still have Foursquare, they still have AOL, they still have Flickr. But I mean, I don't know I don't know if Snapchat does permissions. But
yeah, that I don't know. I don't Snap. I need to start using all these things so I know the security implications of them.
On a completely side note, if somebody can get me a pair of the Snapchat spectacles, I want them.
No. We had our run. We bought Google Glass, right?
Yes.
We got into this.
I know we do this, but there's more people that need to get mad at me. And I feel like this is a way because they can say, "What's that? Are you videotaping me?" And I'm like, "Do you have Snapchat?" And they're going to say, "Yes." And I'm going to say, "So what's the difference?" And they're like, "But you're doing something." I'm like, "No, I'm not doing anything. What are you doing?" And for $170 or $60 or whatever it is, I think this is perfect. Like I don't mind just taking $170 and like burning it just to make these people slightly more mad.
Also, slightly off topic, I'm pretty sure that I used to be all about the bleeding edge, the beta software, the alpha level software of, oh, cool, Google sneezed and a new messaging app came out. I should totally get on this and invite all my friends. I think Google Glass ruined that part of me. I'm now this like old, jaded tech guy that just wants Unix pipes everywhere. And that's fine. I'll just do it on the terminal. Glass ruined me. Like I'm all against the brand new hipness.
Well, look, it's we have Google Home out there, and I'm a little skittish about that. Google On Hub, which was their router hardware from last year. You and I both have a Nexus Q that's sitting collecting dust.
Yep.
Somewhere.
It's
I mean,
there.
I'm
right
gonna
there in the
to,
corner.
I'm gonna have to bring mine back out. And so Google has this ability to bring out projects and kill them really quickly and make a lot of people, or in their case, not too many people, but people who've paid money mad. That's why. So you're right. Like $170 for Snapchat glasses just to. I don't even have a Snapchat account. I just want to wear them. Like, just not even like that's the level that I'm at. Anyway, so you go to your permission. So you did that. I guess the next thing you want to do after you've done that is, especially on Facebook or Twitter, look through your photos on Google Plus. Look at your social network, your Instagram photos. If it's something that you're not happy about, delete it. I mean, it's not that hard to go back, but go through it. Like pictures of my kids, I rather not be on there. So I don't mind if people post, but you know what? After 6 months, you know what? I can delete it. And guess what? You get rid of that comment. Somebody commented on your photo from 3 years ago, and now you have to re-deal with that. Yep. So you can quickly get rid of that, and they'll do it. Somebody even had a really cool trick. So you know when Facebook says, look at what happened 4 years ago? When they do that, you could just say, you know what? Let me just delete that photo. And it'll take you a whole year to do it, but you'll get it done in a year or two. And you can go back and then you can restart this. Look what you did 6 months ago, or look what you did a year ago, and go from there.
So I actually, for research and everything else, I kept my browser history, and I think it's been 3 years running. Like it was huge. And I just went through my Google search history, which, by the way, unless you've changed it, Google will save everything you put in that search bar on just about every Google service. So if you want to, go to your Google settings, and you can just say, hey, blow it all up, get rid of all of it. Now, that's only if you're logged in, keep in mind. So if you're not logged in, it's not tracking it to your account. I'm sure it's still tracking it somewhere. But, I cleared my browser history. It's nice and fresh. And then I realized, oh, no, that one obscure site that I use for work every 6 months, I have no idea what that is anymore. And I had to read documentation. It was horrible. It's like one of the worst weeks ever.
So, I mean, the next thing, yes, is go to your Google dashboard. So you've cleared out that. You've cleared out. You can go through Twitter. If you go through your likes, maybe you didn't mean to like that tweet or retweet that tweet, undo that. Again, that takes some time. So you really have to know what you're doing. I like the lazy way of letting Facebook tell you what you should delete and go from there. But then you said go to your Google history. So that's a reminder. Go to your Google dashboard. I think it's just dashboard.google.com, and go through it and delete anything you don't want Google to have. So all those voice conversations that you're having with Google Home is probably getting recorded there. All your Google searches on your Android phone getting saved there. You may want to go location history, your browser history. I mean, you're at the end of the year. This is a good time to. It's the end of the quarter. It's the end of everything else. Just get rid of everything and start fresh.
It's such a relieving feeling when you take all the archived baggage and just throw it away. Signal has got this great thing that I hadn't seen it, but I'm not in Signal every day, where you can just say, hey, clear all the messages. Just get rid of all of them. And there's nothing in there I need to save. So I just hit clear. And they're gone. They vanish into the ether. It was beautiful. It's freeing. It's like cleaning your house. And you walk in the door after it's all done, you're like, wow, this place is amazing. Everything is perfectly in its place. It's spick and span. This is the winter purge. So go through and delete with vengeance.
I mean, I stayed in box 0, which I know for a lot of people is very difficult. But how did it feel on January 1st that your inbox has no new messages? So go through. You know what? If you haven't responded to it, you're not going to respond to it yet. So just get rid of it. Either delete it, archive it, do something with it. Start January 1st with the fresh email inbox. Let's see.
These little cleanups, it's not just a feel good measure. You are getting rid of some data that maybe possibly someone could use, a company could use. It could get that little startup that you put stuff into could get bought by a bigger conglomerate and used for whatever they want to use it for. There's a non-trivial amount of security for getting rid of stuff that you don't need and really doesn't need to be out there anymore. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but Google doesn't need to know where I was 3 years ago. I don't need to know where I was 3 years ago. So why is it there? Just get rid of it.
I mean, this digital hoarding is becoming an actual thing, and us humans don't, or you and I, we really don't need it. Go through your files. Use this week to go through your files. If you didn't need it, get rid of it. Don't just say, oh, storage is cheap, which it is, but just get rid of it. If you don't need it, it's not worth having. And another thing I found, this is another cool trick going along with deleting the photos. When Facebook or Google Plus mentions, say happy birthday to, if you don't know the person, maybe you should unfriend them, or because unfriend them, or you say, you know what, this person hasn't commented on anything. I always like this when I have a major milestone like a birthday. I see who comments on it, and I get something like 60% of the people wished me a happy birthday. You know what? I feel like that's a good number to have. It's when you have 5,000 friends and 100 people wished you a happy birthday. Where are those 4,900 friends not doing? Are they helping you? If they can't say happy birthday, they can't do this. Maybe you shouldn't be their friend, and you should look to unfriend them.
Yeah, and I absolutely, this probably tells how long ago I was on Facebook. So Facebook at one point had like 6 friends in a square, and it would randomly pick 6 people to put in that square in your profile. I would go to my page, and I did this, like once every couple months in college, because in college you're just adding everyone because it's Facebook, and that's what you do in college. You just click add. So I would refresh, and it would pop up with 6 people. I'd be like, yeah, one of you has to die. And I'd play friend roulette, and one of those people out of those 6 would get unfriended. And I played that game, for 30 minutes every day while waiting for laundry to get out of the dryer. But it's a nice way to keep things clean.
I used to say with Facebook, I want everyone to be I had a rule. I had to have met you first. I just didn't friend random people. And I said, oh, let me be friends with these people. And my friend once said, why? I said, well, I may be in certain city here. I may be in Colorado and may need a place to stay. And they go, well, if they couldn't wish you, and my friend said, if they can't wish you a happy birthday, what says that they're going to actually let you stay at their house? I said, you're right. And I paired my friends list down from like over 1,000 to about 350. And you know what? It's better that way. You get more of a more chronological algorithm. You get to see more of their posts, and then you can monitor all that, but you can get it all the way down, and you can see a lot more. You get better social networking, things like that. Same with Google Plus. As you're friending them, your Google Now search ends up with a lot of birthdays of people you have no idea who they are.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's always a good thing. And again, you're giving out information that people don't necessarily need to know.
Yeah, and it's not the end of the world, if you don't want to go through and clean stuff. I'd highly recommend, if you're going to do anything, go through your permissions with that site. And at the very least, check that out. Make sure you're not giving away permissions that you don't have to. If you don't use an app, just get rid of it. Remove it from the list. It's one click. But with the digital hygiene stuff, it's not the biggest security concern in the world, but it just keeps things tidy. And then it's a good, clean feeling on the inside.
Of course. And that's same thing with the apps. You can get them back if you don't need them. Like I just wiped my phone. It was a little scary. But then, which brings us to the check all your 2-factor apps. So if you have 2-factor on, make sure you have your backup codes printed somewhere. Make sure that your QR codes, if you did it that way, find if there was a catastrophic mistake right now, what would you do? Just make sure your normal backups that you're doing are in order. Make sure Time Machine or whatever, or the Windows backup all of a sudden is still working properly. Make sure you can restore from a backup. That's always a good thing.
Yes.
Don't just assume that it's working.
There have been so many people I've worked with and so many companies I've worked for where, you look at the dashboard report in the morning, you're like, nightly backups. Yep, that's a green check. They ran perfectly. There were no errors. And then when disaster strikes, when something catches fire or blows up or a file system drops out of nowhere, they go to restore and they're like, oh no, the backups have been corrupt for 3 years. We're toast. I mean, I've heard stories of, thankfully I never worked for one of these companies, but I've heard stories of, financial firms where they were backing up and getting the big green check mark on their backups every day. They lose a server and, the RAID just is dead. And they're like, okay, well, that's fine. We have a backup. They throw in their backup. They start restoring. Backups were corrupted for the past 3 or 4 years. They went bankrupt the next week because just business shut down. They literally had nothing to work with. And that's tragic. So test your backups. You can restore just a little bit. You don't have to restore a whole file system or a whole drive. Just pick a file or two. Just say, hey, can I get this back? It's just a nice, sanity check for yourself.
And we said, go through all the files and apps and everything else. Look, you have this week off. I mean, if you're going to spend it with family, that's one thing. But if you're sitting there, you have a few hours. I don't think this will take that long to go through. Just make sure everything is in check for the new year. If your resolution is to become more secure, clearly listen to us. Start using Signal, things like that. If you're just trying to clean some stuff up, again, moving a 30 gigabyte photo library from one computer to another is not a simple process. So if you don't need all these songs from college that you stole off Napster, maybe you should get rid of them. Or find a way to pare down things that you're not using. All these apps have to move, and their data files and gigabytes of all this. If you don't need it, get rid of it.
Yeah, I used to be that guy with the 16 terabyte RAID array, in the closet with literally everything on it until I just decided, I think Google Music and Netflix are good enough. And throughout the years, I've whittled down the number of hard drives, and I've got 2 left. Because I don't need all that stuff. I just don't need all that data all the time. So I got rid of it.
I mean, I think I can I need to build a new FreeNAS box in the next year or two because it's getting old and clunky. And I may be at the point where I can do it on solid state. I don't use that much. And to say, you know what, I'm going to put some money into it and get 3 gigabyte SSD drives, I may be good. And that would be even nice. Faster. And then on gigabit,
3 gig SSDs with some ECC RAM, and then layer ZFS on top of the whole thing. You've got the most secure backup system you could ever hope for.
Absolutely, and you can go from there. So again, we're at the end. Take next week, have fun, eat food, be happy. Happy holidays from all of us here, but think about what you're doing. And if you can help somebody do the same thing. You're at family, you know what? Just install Signal on their phone. They won't even know. Tell them this is the new app that you're going to use. Tell them that Verizon updated it and they like blue, and they won't even know.
A general PSA, registry cleaners for Windows. Do not use them under any circumstance. It will hurt you, and it will hurt those you love. So I've heard some tragic stories recently with people fixing other people's computers and running a registry cleaner, and then the thing won't boot anymore. So don't. Windows takes care of itself. You don't have to use a registry cleaner. You literally gain nothing from it. If something claims to do anything to your registry, just stay away unless you absolutely know what you're doing. And by know what you're doing, I mean, if it says registry cleaner on it, don't do it, even if you think you know what you're doing. So just a general PSA to throw out there.
So anyway, we'll see you maybe next week. If not, we'll see you in the beginning of the new year. Anyway, have a good whatever you celebrate, and we will see you sometime soon.
See you, everyone. Happy holidays.
Bye.